So looking at the market trends, relevant trends are what we have to be analyzing here. What are the things that are really going to be impacting the market going forward, either immediately or in the near future? Again, looking at the size of the market, the size of the industry, the current product sales in units and dollars. I can get information out of the Department of Commerce. The U.S. Department of Commerce tracks a lot of information on businesses. If you're a corporation, you've got to be reporting back to the Department of Commerce, and they make that information available because they utilize it to forecast what's going to be happening in the U.S. economy. What about social trends? What's happening out there now in the way of social trends that could affect the business or open up opportunities for me? There's a restaurant in Fort Atkinson that opened up a couple of years ago called Central Coast. Very upscale restaurant. And in addition to a restaurant, they created a large ballroom for dancing. They have dance lessons. Well, it's kind of building on the interest in Dancing with the Stars, which has an effective television show and has a large following. Well, there's no place in the area that has ballroom dancing. Let's set that up. So they provide dance lessons, dance club, get together, have dinner, go dancing, all of that stuff. That's part of their promotion piece. It's part of playing off of that social aspect of what's happening out there right now. How can I leverage some of the things that are effectively changing in the marketplace? What about the regulatory side? Wow. Well, if we think about it, what's the DNR rolling out in the way of new regulations and rules? How will that affect businesses? Does that mean that someone has to be providing that service? Is that an opportunity for me? Will there be regulations on the finance side? Well, we certainly know in the banking and in the investment industry, we expect more regulation. If I've got a background in that area, does that afford opportunities for me to look at starting a business that will provide some of those niche elements that are currently unmet out there right now? So thinking about the regulatory side, sometimes we look at it as all negative. Sometimes it's an opportunity. And what about emerging trends? We hear an awful lot about alternative energy, renewables, things of that type. How can I be part of that? There's a very new company that started in the state of Michigan. Michigan has been investing gobs of money in alternative and renewable energy. They're trying to find things to do in that state other than make automobiles. So they've been spending a lot on renewables. They've developed a brand new anaerobic biogas digester technology. I know you're going to run out and look at that when you go home tonight, but the application is for cold climates and smaller scale farms, because the typical digester technology that's out there right now was designed for the mega farms, 5,000 head of cattle and above. They're targeting now 750 to 1,000 and trying to make this affordable and something that will generate sufficient electricity from the farm and sell something back to the grid. So the state of Michigan invested in that. Gentleman working at MERIC, the Michigan Alternative and Renewable Energy Center in Muskegon, developed a new modified plug flow system. Write that down. And it's been a great innovation to a lot of farmers. So that's been working. What else are they doing in Michigan? They invested $1.5 million to look at deep water wind turbines, thinking about positioning them in the middle of Lake Michigan. Is it feasible? That first study showed lots of promise, so they invested another $1.5 million to advance it further along. And they're looking at, ultimately, siting towers in the middle of Lake Michigan with cables running back to the state of Michigan to provide electricity. What else is happening? A new wind turbine technology coming out of the state of Michigan. Direct drive, no gearbox. The design, again, came out of this gentleman at the MERIC facility who developed this while he's spending all of his time researching things for the state of Michigan. came up with a new direct drive technology with a cut-in wind speed of 2 miles an hour. It starts generating electricity at 2 miles an hour. That's amazing. We haven't seen that before. It weighs 94 pounds. It can be roof mounted in residential applications. It generates 15 kW, 15,000 watts of power an hour. Typically sufficient to power most homes and still sell some back to the grid. And in Wisconsin, with our net metering programs, you can sell that excess capacity back to the utility. So he licensed his technology to Honeywell. Honeywell is partnering with a company called Earthtronics. And Earthtronics is going to be manufacturing these wind turbines. They're looking for other places to manufacture rather than ship them all over the place. They need other contractors to be manufacturing these in other states. But here's a packaged product, complete with a switchgear to interface with your breaker panel fuse box, targeted to sell at $4,500 through Ace hardware stores, curiously enough. But emerging trends, looking at emerging trends, how can we leverage those things and really bring this thing to the marketplace? Who are the potential users? What level of demand is there? Is that level of demand seasonal? Is that level of demand static? So it's constant all the time. Is that level of demand increasing, decreasing? I need to understand that because it helps me understand cash flow for my business. If most of my sales in this will be during a 2 or 3 month period and then it drops off to virtually nothing, I have to plan for that. I also have to plan for what happens when it drops off. What else can I pick up to balance that load? And then think about the demographics and the psychographics of my customer. Demographics can be the age of my customer. Is it a certain age bracket? Is it a certain income level? Is it a certain education level? Is it a certain gender that I'm targeting with my products or services? On the psychographic side, what are the things that juice my customer? What are the causes that they're into? Is it about environmental concerns and living green? Is it about smoking cessation? Is it about a lot of other things? But understanding the psychographics of my customer are absolutely as important as understanding the demographics of my customer.